Number 1. I was a 19-year-old new mum at the time this happened. My husband, now ex, came home from work with my 17-year-old brother in tow sometime after 1 AM. They wanted to go out and get something to eat, and as I hadn't really left the house in months, I jumped at the opportunity. I grabbed the baby and put him in his car seat in the rear passenger seat. I called shotgun, my husband drove, and my brother crawled in the back with the baby. We live in a small town, so nothing is open this late within the town limits, so our only option was to go a few miles out of town to a nearby truck stop and gas station. Now, the building itself is pretty small, but the lot is huge. There are quite a few 18-wheelers lined up on the far side of the lot, and a few cars parked in front of the building. There are some street lamps in the lot, but they are far and few between, so the lot is mostly dark. We parked in one of the dark spots at the side of the building closest to the Hardy Street. The baby had fallen asleep by then, so I told my brother and hubby to go in and order for me. They do, and I immediately locked the doors as my mother has drilled into me to do since I was little. I am so thankful now that she did. My husband and brother had been gone for about 5 minutes, and I was just staring straight ahead and listening to music when I catch movement out of the corner of my eye. I turn my head and see a man walking in my direction. He was probably mid-30s with a mop of curly brown hair poking out from underneath a red baseball cap. I figured he was going towards the entrance to the restaurant, as it was at most 20 feet away from me, and went back to spacing out. A couple of minutes pass and I hear a car door handle jiggle. I whip my head around and see the man pulling at the car door behind me, my baby's door. He gives up and takes the 2 steps to my door. I quickly double and triple check that all the doors are locked. They are. He tries my door and fails, then walks to the other side of the car and tries those doors too. I'm freaking out and frozen in fear. This is the age of the flip phone, so not everyone had a cell phone at this time, and I definitely didn't have one. He circles the car 2 more times, checking each handle as he goes. I'm watching him the whole time in the mirrors and he doesn't look directly at me once. I place my hand on the horn. I made the decision to really lay on it if he pulls a weapon or tries anything else. I take a moment to try and get a look into the store at my brother and husband through the partially obscured windows and glass door, but I can't see them. I look in the mirror to see Creeper's whereabouts, but he's gone. I turn around in my seat and still can't see him. He must have given up and left. I relax a bit but stay vigilant. Finally, my brother and husband exit the restaurant, food in hand. I cannot explain the relief that washed over me just then. I unlock the doors for them and they get in. My brother asks, "What was that guy doing crouched behind the car?" My pulse quickened. Seriously? He's still there? My brother pointed to one of the cars in front of the building and said, "No, when we walked to the car, he jumped up and ran to that car over there. He's laying flat in the back seat." Before you ask, no, we didn't call the cops. And it's one of my biggest regrets to this day. We were all young and lacking in life experience. If it happened to me today, I would call the cops in a heartbeat to keep other innocents safe from this creeper. To this day, I don't know if he was after me, the baby, or the car. Whatever it was, he was up to no good, and I can only hope that he never got the opportunity to hurt anyone. Number 2. I'm a 19-year-old female. At the time of this story, I lived in the worst part of downtown Portland, right behind the projects. I know I shouldn't have been riding the bus late at night, but there are some circumstances that just can't be helped. One Friday night in April, my boyfriend was hosting his birthday celebration with a big group of friends. I work on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, so I had been a bit annoyed about his choice of timing, but I understood it was the most convenient for everyone else, so it's all he could do. Since I worked early the next morning, this meant I had to ride the bus home late at night. The ride home was about 40 minutes. I had never really been bothered much on the bus before, and always felt comfortable out at odd hours of the night. That night, however, felt different. Around the time I started heading home, I got this terrible foreboding feeling. I armed myself with my pocket knife and started the journey home well past 11 PM. The bus ride began entirely normal, but the feeling never subsided. I was very aware of everything happening around me. Soon, I decided to text my roommate to see if he could be in the area at the time I was due downtown, as he finished work around that time. Soon, I got a reply that he had been relieved early from work, but was turning around to wait at the bus stop for me. I'm still glad that I made the decision to text him, as it may have saved my ass. One stop before I was due to get off the bus, this obese guy, with green hair and a pit bull, gets on the bus. I didn't see him notice me or anything, so I went about minding my own business. The stop at which he got on was only about 2 blocks away from mine. I got to my stop and was greeted by my roommate. Here's where it gets creepy. The guy that had just gotten on the bus gets off at this stop also. As my roommate and I start walking home, this guy starts trying to keep pace with us and gets way too close to me. My roommate and I are fast walking on the edge of a sidewalk, so it's very obvious that this guy is trying to get close to me for some reason. My roommate notices as well, and we fall silent. We manage to outpace him and turn a sharp corner. I look back to the guy to give him a what the fuck kind of look, but at that moment I noticed he had stopped where we had turned and is now taking pictures of me, with his flash on. This is the dead of night on a sidewalk with some crusty office buildings. Nothing worth taking pictures of. It scares me to think that if I never followed my instincts and contacted my roommate, things might have turned out worse. So, creepy bus guy who took pictures of me, let's never meet again. Number 3. This happened about 2 years ago. I was a 24-year-old female and living in a large college town in the Midwest. However, the population is around 250,000 and the city isn't really that large compared to other cities. It was a nice place, but very cold in the winter. During this time of my life, I spent a year teaching abroad and came back to finish my last year of school in May. I subletted a room from a good friend with 2 other female roommates and one of their boyfriends. The boyfriend didn't have a key to our apartment. However, someone was usually home when he needed to get in, or he was with his girlfriend since they worked together. One night, during the usually warm summer, I was sitting around the kitchen with my single roommate. She was dressed to impress, pre-gaming to go out, and ready to have a fantastic night out at the bars. On the other hand, I was exhausted and had to work early in the next morning. We sat and chatted about our days, the summertime, and enjoying the break from school. My single roommate could handle her alcohol, and I watched her take shot after shot. Eventually it was time for her to go and time for me to get ready for relaxing. My boyfriend was coming over to watch some TV and hang out, and my roommate drank a few more and left after a while he arrived and we both went to bed. After sleeping soundly, I woke up the next morning and continued my day as usual. Groggily go to work, make it through the day to come back home and relax. However, I received a text from my roommate that her boyfriend couldn't find his marijuana, grinder, or bong. She asked me if I borrowed anything, if it was in my room, and said that she didn't mind if I did. They just wanted to know where it was. I sent back that I had no idea. Until I got home, I didn't really think too much of it. After work that day, I arrived at home and found my single roommate trying to find her weed stuff as well. Stash box, grinder, pipe, all of this had apparently disappeared, and nobody knew where it was. We were all friends, trusted each other, and knew that nobody would steal. We recounted our stories for the night. My boyfriend and I went to my room, my single roommate went out, and my roommate and her boyfriend were at work until about 3:30 AM, the night before everything went missing. My roommate said that she and her boyfriend ate some food and hung out until about 4 AM, and then tried to sleep. She swears that she heard the front door open and close after about 10 minutes since they went to her room, so around 4:15. She shrugged it off and went to sleep. After rehashing stories, they decided to contact the rental office for security camera footage, since our front door was right in front of a camera, to see if anything happened. They got in contact with the office, and with some persuasion, got them to look at the footage. The time they see someone go in our apartment is roughly 3:30 AM. Apparently, since I heard this all from them, a guy wearing a misbuttoned shirt and boxers walked like he was on a mission to our door, opens it, and disappears inside. Then things start to make sense. My roommate going out after having too much. She must have left the door unlocked for the boyfriend, since he doesn't have keys, and the door was usually left unlocked for him if he was working. The open shut sound of the door, that was him leaving. Our apartment had a bathroom door completely adjacent from the front door. When the lights were off, it was completely dark. It was in the front hallway and not used by my roommate and her boyfriend or me. We figured out that he hid in there while my roommate and her boyfriend were home for over half an hour, waiting for them to go to sleep so he could exit. In the end, the police were called, and none of the things were recovered, obviously. My roommates weren't prosecuted for anything due to the general attitude of the city, and that someone with no pants opened our front door and hid out in our apartment for a while. From the timeline, we deduced that he busted in and was looking for stuff to steal, but saw the marijuana and bong and took it all. He was probably in the middle of the act when my roommate and her boyfriend came home, and then decided to hide in our bathroom until they went to bed. He ended up being a resident in our building, living a few floors away. A few times over that summer, and pounded on it while crying. He covered our peephole, apologized, and banged on the door until we told him to scram. Remember, always lock your doors. Lord knows if he was just a harmless drunk or some kind of a creep. But anyway, guy in boxers who hid in our bathroom. Let's not meet.